What's going on, everybody? I'm Nick.
And I'm Britt. We're from Sound Central Studios.
And welcome to a production breakdown video of Spaceman. So let's talk about drums.
Yeah. So when we first started working on this track, we actually weren't sure whether or not we were going to have a live drummer on it because we had demoed out parts in Superior Drummer, which is one of our favorite tools. It was sounding really good.
We love Superior Drummer.
We love Superior Drummer, but we asked a friend of ours, Jake. He's in two awesome projects, The Blue Chips and Imposters.
If you don't know who they are,
yeah,
go check them out. Greater New York City area. Absolutely killing it. We love their music. So.
Yeah. Definitely, and they're all killer musicians and awesome people. But anyways, we'd asked him if he could track some drums for us, and I don't think we realized how big of a difference it would make, or we anticipated. Yeah.
The song had so much energy already, and Jake brought it to a bar that we weren't even anticipating. We sat very much just like this, late one night.
We listened to his takes, and we were like...
Yeah. And here's the beauty of this track for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is he sent us 11 takes, which I think he did in the course of what? A couple hours?
Like 3 hours,
something
maybe.
Ridiculous. We listened to that 11th take the whole way through, and we were just like, there it is. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you look at this session, the drums are one contiguous take.
Are untouched.
Untouched. Like, these are the comps like the way I brought them in. The only thing that I did was chopped off the bits that needed to be muted, sliced out the toms where they're not being played. But what you see and what you hear is what you get.
Yeah, if you want to edit nothing, hire Jake.
I think this is the first song in a long time where I didn't reach for the quantize button.
Yep.
At all. Nor did we want to.
No.
It was perfect.
It was perfect because a lot of this track, like, we'll get to it later on, but, like, including the bass, is all programmed. And so the not quantizing these drums really give it the small amount of just push and pull that it needed to feel a little...
Felt right.
Yeah, just feel a little more human.
What we just heard before was the second chorus, the bridge going into the second chorus. Now, in our Superior Drummer session, which we sent Jake in, the demo file, there was no fill there whatsoever. This is entirely his creation, and just him being amazing at what he does. We were baffled by the way that he swung the fill and then went into, like, the straighter chorus, and we thought that
so cool.
Yeah, that juxtaposition was great. And again, I didn't touch it. It's just his 11th take from start to finish. Let's listen to it again really quick. Hit it one more time solo. I mean, so sweet. So one thing you'll hear in the recording, which actually is a small edit to the drums, was something done by Mark Matter at Record House. He actually took the drums, dropped it right before the chorus, and that just kind of made that section come in harder. But on the record, you'll hear that one edit that was done. Other than that, like we said, that is the total live drum track. Let's talk about the samples in this, because you and I spent a lot of time getting these samples the way we wanted them. In the production, we have samples of dry and wet, and we're using a combination of trigger samples and circles samples, which, if you don't know circles, they make awesome, super colorful drum libraries that you particularly love.
Yes, I do love them.
Yeah. These ones are a mix of a couple of the packs. I believe I used some of the Dead collection and maybe the Hay Bale. That's probably where I got the tubby snare.
Probably.
They essentially put a drum kit and they recorded it surrounded by huge hay bales.
Yeah.
So
they get really creative with how they make these samples.
So that's why we love them. The raw tracks that Jake sent us were brilliant as it is, and what's amazing to me is actually how little bleed was on the kick and snare tracks. Amazing miking and engineering by Jake here. There's so much drum to noise.
Yeah.
So it made triggering these hits super straightforward, is essentially what I'm trying to get at. So what I did was I used the samples from Trigger. Trigger 2 is what we used to actually trigger the samples. But then what I did was I used that to sidechain the gate. So it really is only opening. And I was very meticulous to go in here and make sure trigger 2 was firing correctly. So you can see every single snare hit is the same. The kicks are the same for every single one, and there's some wet and dry samples. Here is the circles kicks that are dry. Here's the CLA trigger wet. Here's the CLA trigger dry. If we put all of them in. So you can really hear how that wet sample really adds to the overall bigness of the drum, of course, right? That's what reverb tends to do. Let's now look at the snare samples. That snare is from the demo.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it's very similar. So part of why we loved the Superior Drummer thing that we did was she found... Where'd you find that sample?
I don't know.
It was the tubbiest snare drum you've ever heard. It was like, doosh. But we loved it.
It might have been, is it Indie Rock Room?
Was it Indie Rock Room?
It might have been Indie Rock Room and Superior Drummer.
Indie Rock Room preset, Superior Drummer, yeah.
That's the one we usually go for, but I don't know if we changed it.
We recreated it here with circles, with a mixture of circles samples. Also, we used some CLA dry and wet, and also some circles wet. So let's just listen to all the snare samples working together. And let's hear the entire kick snare with live and samples. One thing that is cool that we did do in the mix phase of the instrumental was that we used some automation in the volume to bring up the reverb of the snare drum in the choruses. So that was kind of a little trick to make that snare sound a little bigger. Yeah?
Yeah.
Subtle, but you like it.
I do like it.
The other thing is, too, we kind of automated the hi-hat a little bit because bashing on that hi-hat in the chorus in the best way, but it overtook the overheads a little bit, so we pulled that back. Also brought up the room mic. So here's those. Get a little piece of those. Here you go. Can we talk about the parallel chains real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so we have 2 parallel chains here. Your favorite thing, right? The Zener.
Ooh, the Zener.
UAD plugin. Great. It's acting as a parallel limiter, essentially, on the drums, just bringing up a lot of RMS level. And the Michael Brower technique of using a 33609 into an Avalon pre, and that's acting as a little more EQ and maybe a little bit of compression. I'm not entirely sure, but let's see. Yeah, just a little bit more compression and a little more EQ. That 33609 comes in again in just the chorus. So when the chorus hits, there's this lift in energy, maybe a slight lift in volume. The entire instrumental lifts, which is honestly the way your demo had it.
Yeah.
And that's what made the choruses really pop. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nick.
I'm Britt.
And we are from Sound Central Studio. Thanks for watching.